Hello friends and welcome back to our channel Cmsprep. Today in this video we are going to discuss all the questions related to genetics and health and mental health asked in PSM from 2009 till 2024. So in total we have 21 questions. Which of the following correctly describes gene therapy? Synthesis of DNA probes with specific sequences. This is a technique which is used in diagnostics. For example, detecting mutations. It is not used in mapping and isolation of gene sequence. This is a step in genetic research but not used in therapy. Introduction of gene sequence into a cell. Yes, this is correct. Therapeutic technique involving the insertion of a functional gene into the cell to correct a genetic disorder or produce a therapeutic effect is known as gene therapy. Use of polymerase chain reaction technique. This technique amplifies the DNA. It is used in diagnostics but not used in therapy. Hence the correct answer is C. The law stating that the relative frequency of each gene allele tend to remain constant from generation to generation is known as. The correct answer is Hardy-Weinberg law. It states that the allele frequency in a population remains constant across generation unless specific disturbing influences are introduced like mutation, selection, etc. Mendel's law deals with inheritance pattern, not population gene frequencies. David Morgan's law is not an actual genetic principle, and Lamarck's law is an obsolete theory of acquired traits being transmitted. So the correct answer is Hardy-Weinberg law. Hardy-Weinberg law is the backbone of population genetics. Its famous equation is p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1, where p is the dominant allele and q is the gene frequency of recessive allele. Throughout history, humans have been adapting environment to the genes more than adapting genes to their environment. Adapting environment to genes is called. There are three terms which need to be understood. The first one is eugenics, second one is euthenics, and the third one is euphenics. Eugenics focuses on genes, euthenics focuses on environment, and euphenics focuses on environment. In eugenics, the genes are altered, that is, there is alteration of genes of a population. Examples can be selective breeding, or for negative eugenics it can be abortion, etc. In euthenics we are improving the environment, for example better nutrition and education, and in euphenics we modify the environment to reduce the gene effects, for example dietary therapy in genetic diseases. So you need to be familiar with these three terms to mark the correct one out. So the correct option is euthenics. Marriage between two heterozygous individuals for the same disorders is prevented by. Correct answer is prospective genetic counseling. Prospective genetic counseling is done before conception or marriage to prevent genetic disorders. Retrospective genetic counseling is done after the child is born with a disorder. So it is incorrect. Legislation may not directly prevent such marriages. It is rare and unethical. And mass health education. It raises the awareness but does not identify individuals at risk. So the correct answer is prospective genetic counseling. Keeping biological determinants in perspective, consider the following statement. Presence of normal karyotype is first requisite for human health. Genetic screening can play important role in prevention of wide spectrum of diseases. If an individual is allowed to live in healthy relationship with the environment, the person's genetic potentiality can transform into phenotypic reality. Which of the following statement is correct? Option 1 is obviously correct. Normal karyotype is the basic requirement for genetic health. Genetic screening is useful for diseases like thalassemia, Down syndrome, etc. So yes, it is also correct. It is helpful in prevention of wide spectrum of diseases, and if an individual is allowed to live in healthy relationship with the environment, so the healthy environment allows for the full phenotypic expression of the potential. For example, nutrition in height, IQ, etc. The correct answer is C, 1, 2 and 3. Autosomal recessive disorder include all except C. Sickle cell anemia, it is an autosomal recessive disorder. Albinism is an autosomal recessive disorder, and Hirschsprung disease is also autosomal recessive disorder, but sometimes it can be multifactorial. Retinoblastoma, it is an autosomal dominant disease. So this one is the odd one out. Which of the following is an X-linked dominant trait? So there are very few X-linked dominant diseases which can be remembered by the mnemonic Ravi. R for Rett syndrome, A for Alport, V for vitamin D deficiency rickets, and I is for incontinentia pigmentosa. Okay, so the correct option is vitamin D resistant rickets. Now let's move on to next question. Which one of the following is an autosomal recessive disease? Neurofibromatosis, it is an autosomal dominant disease. Retinitis pigmentosa, multiple patterns exist but usually autosomal dominant or X-linked. It is rarely autosomal recessive. Vitamin D resistant rickets is X-linked dominant. So the correct answer is cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is autosomal recessive disorder due to mutation in CFTR gene. Consider the following pair of genetic diseases that show Mendelian inheritance. Each of the following pairs represent genetic disease and it has been matched with a type of inheritance. How many of the given pairs are correctly matched? Cystic fibrosis is autosomal recessive disease, it is correct. Huntington's chorea is an example of autosomal dominant inheritance, it is also correct. But Marfan syndrome is mentioned as sex-linked recessive, it is incorrect as Marfan syndrome follows the inheritance pattern of autosomal dominant. So only two pairs are correct. So the correct answer is C. Which of the following statements are correct in respect of hemophilia? It is a hereditary bleeding disorder. Yes, it is correct. It is an hereditary bleeding disorder. It has higher incidence among Asians. This is incorrect. It affects female occasionally and mildly. True, due to lionization or X inactivation, and it is a X-linked recessive disease. So in females they are generally carriers, and if they are disease it affects them mildly. So the correct option is 1 and 3, that is B. The genetic inheritance of hemophilia is, correct answer is sex-linked recessive. Hemophilia A and B, these both are X-linked recessive disorders. They affect males and females are usually carriers. It rarely affects female and female are generally the carriers. Therefore the correct option is sex-linked recessive. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. Sign of thalassemia major usually develop after 6 months of age. Statement 2. This is the time when hemoglobin synthesis switches from hemoglobin F to hemoglobin A. So the correct answer is A. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and 2 is the correct explanation of 1. Why? HbF, that is fetal hemoglobin, it is alpha 2 and gamma. It is present in fetus, and after 6 months this converts into HbA, and this requires alpha 2 beta 2. So HbA needs beta globin, which is deficient in thalassemia major. Hence anemia is seen after 6 months. The reasoning is, or statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. The clinical feature of Turner syndrome in girls include the following except. So Turner syndrome is basically 45XO karyotype. The feature include web neck, delayed puberty due to gonadal dysgenesis, short stature, but their intelligence is normal, or there is mild learning difficulty but not severe mental retardation. So the correct answer is option A, severe mental retardation. Which one of the following condition is not inborn error of metabolism? So this question was dropped by UPSC because here two answers are simultaneously correct: neural tube defects and Down syndrome. In Tay-Sachs disease there is hexoaminidase A deficiency, and in maple syrup urine disease there is branch chain keto acid dehydrogenase deficiency. Neural tube defects, it is due to folic acid deficiency, neural tubes is not formed. And Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder, it is not a metabolic disorder. So these both are correct. If on amniocentesis the alpha fetoprotein is found to be elevated in amniotic fluid, which defect is the fetus likely to harbor? So the correct answer is neural tube defects. Why? AFP is produced by the liver and it leaks into the amniotic fluid if the neural tube is open. It is simple. Therefore, if AFP is high, it indicates open neural tube defect. For example, spina bifida or anencephaly. So the correct option is B. Cardiac septal defects, there is no AFP leakage. In Duchenne muscular dystrophy, it is genetic, it does not lead to raised AFP. And galactosemia is postnatal metabolic disorder. So the correct option is B. Determination of alpha fetoprotein levels in maternal serum is a useful screening tool for, as discussed earlier, alpha fetoprotein is produced by the liver, and if there is neural tube defect, it is leaked into the amniotic fluid, therefore its amount is raised. Therefore it is a useful screening tool for detecting neural tube defects. Option D. Amniocentesis is called for in all of the following circumstances except a mother aged 35 years or more. Yes, this is correct. There is risk of chromosomal disorder. Example, Down syndrome. Mother who has a child with Down syndrome or other chromosomal abnormality. Yes, amniocentesis is called in parents who are known to have chromosomal translocation. Yes, this is also correct. Parents who are known to have chromosomal translocation, amniocentesis is done, but this one is incorrect. Father of 50 years or more. Father's age is not a routine indication. Risk increases for some of the autosomal dominant disorder, but they are not enough to justify for amniocentesis. Hence the correct option is D. Which one of the following is a correct combination regarding Indian population? So in India, maximum people are Rh positive, approximately 93%. So if you remember this data, the question will be easily solved. So Rh negative is 7%. So for the blood group, there is a simple trick. The trick is OBA AB. This one is 40. B blood group is 33%. A blood group is 22%. And AB blood group is 5%. So the correct option is option C. The following are manifestation of psychosis. Psychosis is loss of reality, which can present with delusion, hallucination, etc. So schizophrenia, manic depressive psychosis and paranoia. In all of these conditions, psychosis is seen. But in psychoneurosis, now called neurotic disorder, includes diseases such as anxiety, OCD, phobias. They are associated with no delusion or hallucination, and this one is the odd one out. Other three have a component of psychosis in them. So the correct option is A. Which of the following genetic disorder leads to mental retardation? Hemophilia. Hemophilia is a bleeding disorder, does not lead to mental retardation. Cystic fibrosis leads to thick secretion in lung and pancreas, but does not lead to mental retardation. In sickle cell anemia, the main complication is due to vaso-occlusion, but it does not lead to mental retardation. In phenylketonuria, there is deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase that leads to the accumulation of phenylalanine, and the accumulation of phenylalanine leads to severe intellectual disability if untreated. It is preventable by dietary restriction of phenylalanine. Therefore, the correct answer is phenylketonuria. Which one of the following substance induces no dependence? The correct answer is D, LSD. LSD is a hallucinogen. It mainly causes psychological effect. There is no physical dependence or withdrawal. With barbiturates and heroin, there is a strong physical dependence, and with cannabis, psychological dependence is possible. Therefore, the drug which does not causes dependence is LSD. So with this we have covered all the 21 questions related to genetics and mental health from PSM from 2009 till 2024. If you have liked the video, kindly subscribe our channel, comment and follow. If you want to attend this quiz, you can go to our Telegram channel which is mentioned in the description. If you want the PDF, you can go to our Telegram channel. Meet you in the next video.